here, to talk about things Europe. Today we're talking about, the churches in Europe and how their population has decreased massively, and how now you see it's only for like the old people nowadays. And yeah, so we're here in Paris, obviously. It's a crazy trip, so thank you guys for supporting, and appreciate it. Anyway, so the topic for today's episode is about Christianity within Europe. Christianity within Europe is something that has been declining for centuries. It keeps going down and down, and it started with Christianity started in Europe with St. Paul's missions to Rome, and it spread throughout the rest of Europe, all the way up through England and France and everything. And the Crusades at the time demolished Christianity within Europe. One of the Crusades ended up being the Byzantines, which is the Eastern Church versus the Western Church, and it really did split Europe within itself, especially religiously. And as a result of that, you have the Renaissance coming, and the Reformation, and those two things really changed how Christianity was viewed in Europe. Prior to the Renaissance, Christianity was the thing that united all of Europe together. And following the Renaissance and Reformation, there was a lot less influence of religion and more of science and creativity and mathematics, and so people moved away from religious studies and kind of moved towards more of a secular sense of life, as you can see in present day Europe, Western Europe. And as this continued throughout history, you see Europeans moving after the Reformation, which split Europe into two main types of Christianity. You have the Protestants and the Catholics. Really set a divide that would never end, and it kept, Britain was mainly Protestant, and most of the rest of Europe outside of Germany and the Holy Roman Empire was mainly Catholic. So it was the Holy Roman Empire and Britain that were Protestant, and the Catholic churches were mainly in France and Italy. And what happened as a result of that was many wars. It led to imperialism, and a lot of things that caused even greater divide within Europe, even though it wasn't religious and more of a political thing. But as you can see, it has effects till now, and religion is something that is very important and vital to every single person's life. Even if you say that you're not religious, that's a religion. It's the way you view the world, and so religion is vital, and it's important, and it's necessary. And a lot of people have kind of downplayed the role of religion in their lives and in society. We're moving towards even more now than ever a more secular world, even though we've always been moving towards a secular world. And it's a very interesting phenomenon that we see, that people kind of think that they can do things in their own hands, and that this world was the Big Bang or whatever. And it's a very interesting theory, and it has its merit. However, to say that God doesn't exist is kind of it doesn't make sense with the way how human life works. So we see this push towards secular movements even till now, from the day of the even before the Renaissance started until today, right now in present day Europe and across the world. And this is one of the biggest divides between Eastern and Western society, is that Eastern society is very, very religious and very true to their beliefs, whereas the Western world is very, very secular, and they kind of have their own thing going on, and they think that they're smart enough to deal with everything. And it's the difference between the simple faith of the Easterns and of the Eastern people, and the complex ideologies of the West. And it's very apparent. You can see this in politics nowadays. You can see this in gender theory. You can see this within so many realms of the world that were almost never talked about back in the day. So many people have so many opinions on so many things that it's really hard for a lot of people to put religion in the center. And I think that that's one of the biggest issues that we're facing today in society, is that a lot of people look for an identity, and they try to look for their identity in the science and in stuff that they believe is factual, and it doesn't really mix well with the way how life works. We're here for a purpose, and a lot of people try to look for that purpose, and many people find their purpose in God, and not just Christianity, but religion in general. And so it's really hard to try and find your purpose and try to find who you are without really experiencing religion in the way it's supposed to be, and to try and live your life in your own way, as if you are the head of everything. So it's a very interesting thing, and it's something that within the Western world that is a lot of people struggle with. And this identity crisis goes way past religion. It's a very, very personal thing, and it's a big issue where a lot of people don't know who they are, and it's honestly, it's being pushed by this narrative that religion doesn't matter, that God doesn't exist, that Christian churches here in Europe are for old people, saying churches for old people. It's very interesting how something that has worked for thousands of years all of a sudden has become obsolete just because people don't feel like doing it. So to go into more specifically within Europe, you have churches within Europe are just for old people. It's a very common understanding throughout Europe, is that people think that churches aren't really for them, but not just churches, but religion in general, but specifically Christianity. The Catholicism in Europe and in the world has been dropping at a significant rate, way higher than it ever has, than any other religion has really seen, as a decline. And it's weird because normally religions decline because of other religions, but Catholicism is declining because of, and Christianity in general, because of a lack of religion. And it's really interesting how this phenomenon works, that people can just kind of leave, the faith and just kind of live their own lives. And what it causes, right, is it causes the people around you. When people around you are atheists, you will tend to be atheist. It's a common thing of human behavioral psychology. So when people in Europe have this idea that church is for old people, and they don't want to be associated with this old mindset, it plays in with the politics of the times now, where people, they want to be progressive, they want to look forwards, and that's great and all, and it's perfectly fine to want to be progressive, to want to look forwards, to want to care for people and stuff like that. But when it comes in the way to where it blocks the truth, that's where the line needs to be drawn. And I think a lot of people will say they sacrifice truth for compassion, and it's a very interesting, and it's honestly a compelling argument. A lot of people do. It's a very compelling argument that compassion should overtake the truth. However, it doesn't make any sense, because if we think about who God is, and it's really hard to talk about God around people who don't believe in God, but if you think about who God is truthful and merciful. He's fully truth, fully just, and fully merciful. So it's very hard to, you can't separate the truth from mercy and justice, right? If you can't acknowledge the truth, and if you can't acknowledge that someone is wrong, you can't have compassion and mercy on them. There's no way. You can't have compassion on someone who's correct. That's not, logically, there's no connection there. So I think that's where, when people get, what the real definition of truth is mixed up, and they get it messed up, and they think that by denying truth, they can be compassionate towards others, or by denying what's right, they can be compassionate and they can be helpful. And, when you really look at it from a deeper lens, it doesn't make any sense. So, but this is this ideology that has swept through Western society, specifically in Europe, that has really taken people down from, what they believe in, to a state of, disbelief in what is right and what is true. And it really speaks to the volumes of, how society works in Europe. In Europe, society is seen as a very high class, if you will. Everyone seems to be better than everyone else around them. Whereas if you look at somewhere, even America isn't like this, where it's a lot more, no one, and people still do think they're better than others, but not to the degree it is in Europe. And if you look at Eastern societies, if you look at Africa, if you look at, Asia and stuff, the simplest of people, all they want to do is help the people around them. And it's honestly, it's a really interesting, and it's a really positive way to live in, is by always wanting to help those around you, instead of just trying to, pamper yourself and put yourself above the people who are in your community. And it's very, very interesting how the Western world versus the Eastern world views the way to live life and the way to treat others. And it's, the way you want to be treated, that golden rule, it seems to be, treat others the way you want to be treated, seems to be almost obsolete now in modern Western society. And I know I've talked a lot about recently on the podcast about modern Western society and its flaws. I talked a whole episode about that, if you want to watch that, up here, top right corner. But yeah, so religion in Western society is something that has been declining for centuries, and it's honestly, it's almost a pandemic at this point. It is a pandemic at this point, where people think that they can just live their lives without it and kind of ignore it, and that comes as a product of the way how people live their lives. And it's a product of this mentality that you can do whatever you want, and that no one's opinions, like whatever you say, not might be what I say, like your truth not might be my truth. And it's very interesting, and it really shows the volumes of the character of the people who define the moral status, and like what goes and what doesn't go. A lot of people don't fully understand why they listen to the things they listen to, or why they do the things that they do. And it's very important as a society for us to believe the right thing and do the right thing, because it's the only way that we will progress. So it was kind of a short episode, but obviously because we're in a public place and it's kind of awkward and kind of scary. But this has been Keep It 99 from Paris, France. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, and share it. Thank you.